Today we're making chicken a la king, a classic American comfort food. We'll be doing the whole thing from scratch, sharing thought process along the way so you can make it your own. We start with the whole chicken. The breasts will be gently poached, the legs save for another recipe. The rest we'll use to make a flavoursome stock, the backbone to our creamy sauce. On that note, backbone in. Of course, for weeknight, use store-bought chicken stock. And to pay our homage to Mr. James Beard, the gizzard goes in. Something he liked to use for depth, complexity, and body. Optional as well, heart goes in for negligible meatiness. We're not using the liver because that could cloud the stock too much. Whatever aromatic vegetables you fancy, today, an onion for some aromatic sweetness and depth, with the optional clove for some subtle heat, a leek for some savoury and sweet undertone. We're not using carrots mainly for colour consideration. Mushroom stems and offcuts from the mushrooms we'll be using later for subtle umami boost. And this way nothing goes to waste. Black peppercorn for some subtle heat, thyme for some fresh herbal note, a bay leaf for some earthy, piney complexity, and we simply cover with just enough water. And we bring this to a simmer without the lid, A, for better temperature control, and B, to not overly cloud the liquid. About 45 minutes, which gives us time to salt our breasts, to give the salt a tiny bit of time to work its magic. After 45 minutes, we've strained our stock, brought it back to a boil. Now, stove off, salted chicken breast, straight in. Lid on, and we allow the residual heat to cook our breast gently for about 20 to 25 minutes. The moment they hit 60 degrees Celsius, they're ready. This way, whatever flavours would have lost during the poaching goes to our stock, which then goes into our sauce. On that note, knowing we have a warm stock, we can make our roux ahead of time. Unsalted butter, and we let the butter melt fully to evaporate the 15 to 17% water content. Once there's no more sizzling, meaning it's just the fat left, we add equal part all-purpose flour for the fat to start to coat the flour, and in turn start coating each starch granule of the flour, preventing them from clumping when we introduce our liquid. Once you can neither see visible lumps nor white dots, stove off, and we wait for the chicken breast. Now, chicken breasts cooked to perfection. I've strained off some chicken stock, 10 times the combined weight of the butter and flour, and we start building our roux. And the reason why we can afford to have a cold roux is because we have a warm stock, and as we introduce the warm stock, the starch granules start to swell, gelatinizing, thickening the sauce. And with a hot liquid, this happens extremely fast. The cold temperature of the roux is what's buying us more time to whisk to prevent them from clumping. Once I'm confident that there's no lump, we add the rest of our stock. And we bring back some heat to cook out the raw taste of the flour and to reduce this slightly. And you can feel the change in resistance as the temperature comes back up. Perfect. We set this aside to simmer while we finish our dish. Once again, we melt some butter and allow the water content to fully evaporate. We saute some sliced mushrooms. They'll bring some earthy umami and texture. We're using buttered mushrooms today mainly out of color consideration, but you can use any mushrooms you fancy. And most mushrooms are about 80 to 90% water content. So we cook to evaporate the water content to concentrate the flavors. And we do this at relatively gentle heat because butter has a smoke point of 150 degrees Celsius. Anything above that, it'll start to burn. Season with salt. This will help draw out some moisture. Now we bring the color. First, some diced green bell pepper for some freshness and texture. And we want to retain the texture, so we're not cooking them for too long. Another James Beard idea, grated onion. A, to reinforce the aromatic sweetness from the broth. B, to really disperse the flavors evenly, giving the sauce even more body. Perfect. Now the red color, some pimentals for some mild, sweet, and slightly smoky tang. Today we're using tinned pimentals. If you have fresh ones, great. Once again, we want to retain freshness. So the moment they're warmed through, stove off, and we dice our chicken breasts. Even though we're serving this skinless, it's still beneficial to cook them with the skin on, so the fat content could protect the flesh. And we dice them into bite size. Perfect. Chicken in. Everything a good mix. And we gradually bring back some heat. And now, what really makes the dish special? Dry sherry for some nutty complexity and an almost slightly oxidized note. A flavor profile that works extremely well with the butter. And we let this simmer for a couple of minutes. It's beneficial for the chicken breast to have some time to cool down, so it could take on a bit more heat. Now, we finish with our velouté. Fold them in, bit by bit. Check for texture, taste. Just the seasoning. Oh, that sherry is incredible. Optional touch of white pepper. Some subtle heat. Finish with more color, some fresh parsley, and just a touch of lemon juice for brightness. That's chicken a la king.